Okay, one thing I want to explore today with you is this idea of running your own business and feeling comfortable in your own skin and just feeling a real sense of comfort with your business. Okay, now reality check. When we're running a business, it can be very stressful. It is a challenge. There are definitely ups and downs with running a business. I think when you're going into running a business, you need to accept that. You need to have a certain um, overview of what it is like to run a business and set those expectations so that you can handle the ups and definitely the downs that go with the ups, right? So what I want to talk about today is kind of like the characteristics and the behaviors that would be good for you to have when you're running a business that will help you to run a business in comfort. And I've come across this acronym of comfort, COMFORT, that I'm going to talk you through today. Now, I got this idea today from talking to a client that I'm just starting a project with in the copywriting space. I'm a professional copywriter as well as a business coach. So, in this copywriting project, I'm working with an organization that has outlined the same types of characteristics. They've given it a different acronym, and it's a way to get children future ready to be global citizens. And I just thought this was just such a wonderful analogy that they made. So I've kind of taken some ideas from there because whatever applies to the characteristics that you're trying to get children to have as they're growing up and preparing them for the future world, it's the same characteristics you need to run a business. All right. So let's take you through these now. So the first is C, and this is curiosity. You've got to be curious about the world around you and the things around your business. If you question things, if you're constantly questioning things and you're asking why and then digging deeper, why, we talk about the 5 whys. You keep just asking why. And by the time you get to the fifth why, you've kind of got to the nuts and bolts of the issue. So always be curious, looking at why am I doing this? Why? Let me give you an example of this. I tell this story a lot, but it's just something that really stuck in my mind. As sometimes we do things without questioning because it's the way we've been taught or it's the way somebody's told us to do, and we just accept it as fact. But it actually might not be when you actually analyze it and get down to those whys. So let me give you an example of this story that I heard. And I just love this as an example of this. There was a newly married couple, and one Sunday, the wife took the husband to the parents' house to have Sunday lunch. So they had Sunday lunch, and as a newly married couple, the wife then wanted to be able to prepare meals in the same way as her mother did, and be able to provide family meals for her and her husband in that way. So she got home, and the next Sunday she made the same dinner that her mother had made the previous Sunday, and it was roast lamb. So it's a leg of lamb roasted in the oven. So she put the leg of lamb into a roasting tin, but before she did so, she cut off the end of the leg of lamb. And then her husband was watching her doing this, and she did this, she prepared it, and they had a lovely meal at the end. But then the husband asked her, "Why did you cut the um, end of the leg of lamb off?" And she said, "That's just what my mum does. I just follow what my mum does." So he was curious because he couldn't quite work out why she couldn't have put the whole leg of lamb into the tin, because it would have fitted into the tin. So she didn't understand why. So the next time they went to his parents-in-law, he asked the mother, "Can I just ask, why do you cut the end of the leg of lamb off?" And the mother-in-law said, "Well, because the leg of lamb is too big for my tin. I've only got a small tin, so I just cut it to fit the tin size." So the daughter was following the mother's instructions or following the example exactly to the T and not questioning why it had to be done that way. And the reality was that she didn't need to cut the edge of the end of her leg of lamb off because her tin was big enough to fit the whole leg in. So that's just an example of things that when you do things without questioning, what's the reason? Why was this rule set in place? And you're doing it without question, and you're not adapting it to the way you run your business, then you need to kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit there, start to get curious, start to ask questions why, and you'll find that you're running a better business as a result. All right, so that's the first one, the C of comfort, be curious, right? The next one is optimism. Be optimistic about life in general and your business. And I'm sure you've heard the Henry Ford quote that if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. And I just love that quote. I think that's just so accurate, because a lot of it is, when you're running a business, is mindset. It's just 95% mindset and 5% actual talent or skill, right? If you have the right mindset, things are going to fall in place. That's what I believe. So, what that quote means, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right, really means that it's what you think that's important. All right. So some people will just automatically be optimistic and they think, yeah, this is possible. I can do this. We can do this. And guess what? They end up doing it because they always had that belief, and everything they do is driven from that belief, and it all comes to fruition. They end up getting the goal that they wanted. But if you think you can't, you're going to find all the reasons why you can't. It's kind of a little bit like, when it's what we tend to focus on. We get the results of the things we tend to focus on. And I'll give you an example of this is when I was pregnant with my first child, right? I saw pregnant women everywhere, and I was kind of on one of the club. I'm really happy to be pregnant, right? So I saw pregnant women everywhere. And today, that's not my focus, right? So I never see pregnant women everywhere. I'm sure there's still the same number of pregnant women walking around, but I don't see them because I don't focus on them. And it's like if you were in the mind to buy a red car or something, you would see that car, probably that make of car or that color of car everywhere suddenly, because you're focusing on it. You suddenly become aware of it. So just being optimistic and just believing, yes, you can, you're going to get there. But if you think you can't, you're going to find ways to not be able to do it. So having an optimistic mindset is just so important, and that helps you to get through the lows of the business as well. If you stay optimistic and you believe you can do it, then you can do it. All right, so that's the O. So next, on to the M of comfort, just being mindful, So being aware of, because you're never an island in a business. You're always working with people, whether it's your customers, whether it's a team of people you have working with you, if you have a team. And if you're aiming to grow your business, eventually you will have a team. So just being aware of how you make others feel. There's always this, I don't know, this quote of people, they won't really remember what you say, but they'll remember the way you made them feel. So always be mindful about how you are interacting with others, because everything you do, you're building relationships in one way or the other. So if you're mindful of how you're treating others and you're nurturing a good relationship, you may not need that relationship or that person at this particular time in your business, but further on down the line, that might come back to you and in benefits. So you always want to be building relationships and just becoming known as what you're good at. And when people understand that and you're nurturing those relationships and they want to help you, you'll end up having the support that you need to get what you need done as well. So just be mindful of how you make people feel. I'll give you an example of this. I was at a networking event just last week, actually, and there was this business coach that was there. And I watched him most of the evening as he walked around, and he spoke to every single person in the room. And he took notice of what they were saying, what they were doing, and really treated them with a lot of respect. And people were just drawn to him. It's like a magnet kind of thing. And then after the event, we went out with him just to sit down and just talk and just learn more from him kind of thing. And so I mentioned to him, I said, I've been noticing all of your reactions with people, all your interactions with people, because we went to um, his hotel. We sat outside his hotel, but because everything was closed by this time at night, nothing was open. So we sat around a table, we just had water. But before we went out to the tables, we were in the lobby and we just watched him interacting with the hotel staff. So there was a guy mopping the floor. He talked to him. The lady behind the counter, he was talking to her. He knew both of them by name. He was able to engage them in conversations that made them feel respected and made them feel wanted and needed, and just telling them what a good job they were doing. And just really, every conversation he has with people, he's recognizing them in some way and just complimenting them in some way. And and as a result of doing that, he's been able to build a business where he doesn't have a website, doesn't have name cards. Everything he gets is by referral, because people just want to um, help him. Okay, they want to reciprocate his kindness, right? And that's how you kind of get on in life. So that was really inspiring for me to be able to watch that in action. And so it's something that I think is very important as a business owner, that you are mindful of the relationships you build and you nurture those relationships and you treat people with respect and make sure that they feel valued, because they'll always remember how you made them feel. All right, so that's the M in comfort. So the next one, F, be fearless. Now that's a bit of a misnomer in a way, because I can say be fearless, but I don't think there's anybody that lives without fear of some kind, right? Even the most successful people have kind of a degree of imposter syndrome in them, because, or they should do actually. So if you, no matter what stage you are in your business or your self development, you need to be always pushing the envelope. You need to be pushing past the barriers and improving on yourself all the time. So each time you push to the next level, there's going to be a degree of discomfort, because you're out of your comfort zone. But you need to be out of your comfort zone to grow. And as you're out of your comfort zone and things are not so comfortable for you, that's where the fear kind of kicks in. So when you feel fear, that should be a good thing, because it means you're testing the waters, you're trying something different, and you'll always be fearful until you get used to it. And then you need to be pushing again to be fearful. So you're always kind of looking to be fearful in a way. But when I say be fearless, it kind of means just feel the fear, but do it anyway. So even though you're scared, even though it's uncomfortable, you push through to the next level and you work through it until it becomes comfortable for you. So let me give you an example of this in my business. When I started my business 20 years ago, I had no business knowledge whatsoever and no idea how to run a business. And I started it running from home originally because that's really what I wanted to do. But in those days, 20 years ago, we couldn't really work remotely as a team, for sure, right? I could work from home in the initial stages when it was just me in the business, because I could just email clients the work, etc. I didn't need people coming to my home to do business with me, so that was okay. But as soon as I grew and I got a team, then I had to get an office, because I couldn't work remotely with a team in those days. The technology wasn't there. So, so having that team or having that space, when I first had to get an office and I had to get the first member of staff that I employed, that became very uncomfortable for me. I was stepping out of my comfort zone, doing something new and realizing, okay, I've got responsibility now. Every month I've got to make the rent, which is extra from what I was paying for my house. And every month I've got to pay this member of staff. So at first it was very uncomfortable and it was that pressure. But then after a while it became the new normal, right? We talk about the new normal today, and it really did become the new normal. That it was easy to get that money in every month to cover those expenses, because I knew it just had to happen. So it happened. And then eventually we grew and grew. We had more staff, and then in the end, I moved into what we call a shop house in Singapore. Beautiful buildings, really nice environment to work in, and we had this shop house. So my first office was a smaller office in an office block, and that was, at that time, it was $1,000 a month. So that $1,000 a month was a big jump for me at that point, right? Then we ended up in the shop house that at that time was $4,000 a month. You can't get that today, but at the time it was $4,000 a month. So that was a big leap. So to know I had to pay $4,000 every month for the office, again, at the beginning, that was again discomfort, because it was like, okay, this is an added expense now. I've got to find this money every month. It's more money than before. This is something I've got to pay every month. I'm in discomfort. I'm in that discomfort zone at that point. So you've got the fear there, all right? But eventually it became the new normal. So it was expected, and the money would just come in because it had to be paid. And so I think if you look at it this way and you just understand that you're always going to be uncomfortable, you're always going to feel the fear when you're in a new place in your business, when you're leveling up. And it's good to feel that fear because it means you are leveling up. If everything's always consistent and you're never trying anything new, then you're not growing. So look at feeling fear as a positive thing, because it means that you're actually growing. All right. But when you feel the fear, the whole idea of being fearless in that case is just knowing that even though you feel the fear, you've got to go ahead and take action and move, because you're not going to improve your business. You're not going to improve yourself if you don't. So be fearless in that regard. All right. The next one is to be open. And I call this really to be open for change, to be adaptable. You really want to really understand when you're setting up a business that, one, nothing's set in stone, which is good because it means you can change on a dime. So nothing's set in stone. You need to be open to the fact that there will always be change, because the only change in life, the only thing constant in life is change, right? And I know that from running my business over 20 years, it's constantly been changing. The market changes, technology changes, and that changes everything. So there's always change that's going on, and you've got to be adaptable, and you've got to be aware of the changes taking place, aware of your environment, aware of how the changes will affect your business, and make sure you make adjustments along the way. So, for example, for me, when I very first started my copywriting business, most of my clients were working offline. The internet just started at that point. So, a lot of the marketing I was doing was writing for mostly print newsletters. Everything was in print. So, print ads, print newsletters, all of those kind of stuff, right? And then the internet came along, and then businesses started to market online. Then it became, okay, we've got to adapt to a new way of writing. We've got to write for the web. And then SEO came in. So then it's okay, you've got to incorporate SEO in the writing. So that was a new thing. So things are constantly evolving. Then Google came along as a better search engine option, and Google's emphasis was on, it's got to be a good search experience. So they wanted good content, not rubbish content that's just from a content mill that's just tweaked and adapted, and it just becomes rubbish in the end that was coming out. They wanted quality content. So that meant that businesses needed writers to be able to produce that content for them in volume. So writing became a job in that sense, where it wasn't before. So that was a change that affected my business in terms of there was a lot more competition out there, but there was also a lot more work because every business now needed a blog, right? So there was work to be found from that. So that was a change. So all the way along, there's always been like little minor changes that have affected the business and made us look and say, okay, how can we take advantage of this now? Can we add on a new service? So you've always got to be open to the idea that, yes, there will be change, and there'll be change for bad and change for good, but you've just got to reframe it and make it good for your business. And big example of that is in the last 2 years, obviously ChatGPT. For me, running a copywriting business, when ChatGPT came along, everybody thought that they could just get their content from ChatGPT, and it was so much easier and quicker, and they didn't need to hire copywriters. And then you had big companies that had a big team of writers, making the writers redundant and things like that. So there's definitely been a shift and a different way of working, and writing is done in a different way today, but copywriters are still needed. There still needs to be guidance on what content goes in. And I think people are starting to make a shift back now as they realize that actually to use ChatGPT correctly, you need to put a lot more work in than they originally thought to get something of value out of it. So then you might as well outsource it to someone who's going to do that. So that's really the changing role of a copywriter today, I would say, a lot. So all the way through your business, just know that things will change. Nothing's going to be constant. You've always got to be moving with the times. You've got to be open to keeping up with those times. And just be aware of that. Whatever you're starting your business in today, it's not going to be the same 10 years down the line. Definitely there will be changes. And that's a good thing as well, because if you're worried about when you're starting out a business now, have I got it right? Maybe this isn't what, you can only know by trying. And then if it doesn't work and you need to adapt, you need to change it, then just be open to making those changes until you get what works. Okay. So that is being open. That's the O. So on comfort, running in comfort in your business, the next one is the R, and that is being resourceful. Every business owner really needs to be resourceful, because sometimes you're running on low resources. Maybe you don't have the funds to fund certain plans that you have for the business, and you need to be resourceful in finding other ways to make it happen. So there's always, just knowing that there's always ways to make things happen. It's just a question of how you look at it. So you need to reframe things and just be resourceful in the way that you use what you have and how you work with other people as well. So you're not an island when you run a business. You can actually tap on other people's resources as well, team up, do a joint venture, things like that. So that is a great way to extend your current resources, just being resourceful and making sure that you find ways to make things happen. And it's sometimes facing tough realities. If your cash flow is low in this particular month, how do you get some quick wins to get some cash in? Things like that. You've got to be resourceful in looking at the way your business is and how you're going to make that happen for your business with the resources you already have. So it just could be a case of, if you're looking to get some extra cash in, basically ways to get extra cash in is either you need to find more customers, you need to increase your price, or you need to increase the frequency that the customers are buying from you. Okay, there's the three ways that you can actually increase your cash at any given time. So just be resourceful in thinking of things in those ways as well. All right, and the last one of the 7 comfort qualities you need to run a business is to be tenacious. All right, to be tenacious, you've got to have this never give up mindset. You've got to have this idea of grit, of being gritty and facing failures. And, you can get, this whole thing of you can be knocked down so many times, but you just need to get up that one extra time more than you got knocked down. So every time you get knocked down, get back up, get knocked down, get back up. You've got to have that grit, that tenacity to continue when times get tough, because they will get tough. They're not always going to be exactly, it's not always going to be a bed of roses. There are challenges. So you want to be tenacious in that regard, and just follow. It's a kind of like the fearless thing as well, of just following through, even though it's tough. Just accept that, yeah, okay, it's going to be tough at times, but that doesn't mean you give up. It just means you find new ways of doing things. It just means that you don't say no, or you don't take no as an answer, and you carry on regardless, and you're going to make it work. And this is really, for me, especially in the early days of my business, because I was so passionate about the business and it was my baby kind of thing. And there was no way on earth that this business was going to fail. Absolutely no way. This had to work because it was all I had. This is everything I've got, and I had to make it work. So I really had to have grit in those early days because, one, I was dealing with not really knowing how to run a business. I was just learning as I went along. I did hire coaches to help me, and I've always had a coach throughout my business because I really believe that you don't know everything, and there's always somebody with a different perspective who's going to add value. So having a coach is a really important thing because you don't want to be going this alone. You do need, especially for the mindset work, you need some support with the mindset. So yeah, being tenacious, following through, not giving up, getting up when you get knocked down. All of these things are really important as a business owner because you will face tough times, definitely. But the benefits, I would say, outweigh those kind of disadvantages. So if you're coming out of a full-time job and starting your own business, just understand that there will be a shift, that there needs to be a shift in your mindset. There needs to be a shift in the way you look at things and you expect things to happen. Because when you have a full-time job, you've got that guaranteed salary at the end of the month. You don't have that with a business. You've got to make that happen. So you've got to have that grit and that tenacity to be able to make things happen in your business. All right. So that is my piece for today. This is just completely taken from the inspiration I had by talking to a client this morning who briefed me on their qualities for their children growing up. And I just thought I would adapt those qualities to what it would be like as a business owner to have those qualities to improve your business and to keep your business going. So this is what I call how to create comfort in your business. So the comfort is the COMFORT. Curiosity, be curious, optimistic, mindful, fearless, open, resourceful, and tenacious. All right. So I hope that's helped. If you've enjoyed that, wherever you are, click on a like or ring the bell to get new content. Follow me wherever you go. And I'm going to be putting more content out like this because I really want to be able to help people who want to start their own business or they're early in business. I want to really support you in growing that business, and in any way I can help with that, with the content I put out, I would love to have you follow me for that. Okay, so until next time, this is Ange, Business from Anywhere coach, helping you to run your business from anywhere. And remember, you are the boss of your business and your lifestyle. See you next time.